Good. Instagram doesn't want to play. Hey guys, what's up? It's Dean. Facebook, YouTube. How you guys doing? Thanks first off for being part of the channel or part of the community. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are getting a lot out of these posts and out of these videos. So every Wednesday we do a live workout at 12 p.m. Central Time. It is 12 p.m. right now, or maybe 12 or 2 p.m. And today's workout is going to focus on a foam rolling routine focused on just kind of loosening up tight muscles, aiding with recovery, but also improving your flexibility, improving mobility. So first off, let's go into the equipment required. So you can use a basic foam roller. The one that I recommend is called the Rumble Roller, and that one has a lot more texture on it. So it's got a lot of bumps and a lot of kind of, not spikes, but a lot of bumpy spikes on it, which is going to help with kind of digging deeper into the muscles and helping to improve the recovery and helping to actually release more muscle tissues. So just helping with, again, helping with the recovery, helping with foam roller, with basically what a foam roller does, which is break up muscle tissue and also get stimulation and circulation to that area by applying pressure on that area. But you can also use foam rolling for muscle activation. And you're going to do that with a vibrating foam roller. Now, I don't recommend using a foam roller before every workout. In fact, I would actively discourage you from doing so. So you don't want to do a foam rolling routine every time you work out, because then your body starts to rely on a foam roller. You should be able to work out without using a foam roller. So I recommend it more so for recovery aspects, and also if you want to go into a low intensity workout. So you can use a foam roller before you do a yoga stretch routine or at night before you go to bed. Kaya, you're snoring. Or, I would keep it focused on, you can use it before low intensity workouts or before stretching sessions. You don't want to use it before high impact workouts or fast moving workouts, just because it doesn't help prepare you very well. You want to be using a dynamic, quick moving warm up to get ready for other workouts. You don't want your muscles to be relaxed for those workouts, and that's what the foam roller is going to do. It's going to relax the muscles. And for a dynamic or for an intense workout, you want your muscles to be active. The alternative, or kind of where this gets a little, not complicated, but where this gets a little different, is when you use a vibrating foam roller. And the vibrating foam roller is pretty cool because it does work really well for muscle activation, and it's different from a traditional foam roller. So you can use a vibrating foam roller before your workouts, before an active workout, but I would not use one before. I would not use a normal foam roller before a low intensity workout. Kaya, you gotta stop snoring, girl. Kaya's snoring. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to show you the exact foam rolling routine that I do for my lower body. This particular foam roller I'm using is called the Viper 2.0 from Hyperice. It is a vibrating foam roller. It's incredible. It cuts down the time of my foam rolling in about at least in half and maybe in about 1/3. So sometimes I'll spend, if I want to do a comprehensive foam rolling routine for my lower body, it will usually take me 30 or 35 minutes to really feel like I've gotten a lot accomplished. But when I'm using this, it only takes me 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really cool, saves a lot of time, and it's more effective. And it's because of the vibrating aspect of the foam roller. All right, so let's get into it. This is a little noisy, by the way, so I might have to talk loud over it. So I'm going to put this up to level 3 straight off. Moves a lot. And I'm going to get as much body weight as I can on top of it. I'm going to start just with the front of my thigh, my quadricep, kind of the top of the thigh, rolling from just above the knee all the way to the hip, and really relaxing my thigh onto this. So I'm not tensing up. I'm not using my arms to really hold myself up too much. I want to put as much weight as I can, or sink as much weight as I can into the roller. just very slowly going up and down, right? So I'm not doing a violent like this, right? I'm not going up and down very quickly. I'm gonna go really slow. So just inching along. And that's gonna be way more effective than doing a foam roller very quickly. And when you find a spot that starts to get angry, or it's like really, you know, it just feels really intense, that's a spot that you want to hang out on. All right, and then from the front of the thigh, I'm going to go to the outside of the thigh. And it's kind of not, it's not directly on the outside, it's more on the front outside, and that's hitting my lateral quadricep head. So I don't want to go all the way to the outside because that's just going to crush my IT band. I don't want to do that. So I'm turning slightly down and out. And then I'm just going to go very slowly, again, all the way to the top of the hip. And then slowly coming back. And then slowly back. So I would spend about 1 to 2 minutes on each muscle head or each little individual muscle. And I found a spot now. So what I'm going to do here on my quadricep, since my quadricep extends my knee, it bends my knee, controls flexion in the knee, I'm going to bend my knee as I pin down that particularly tight area in the muscle. So I'm bending my right leg as I'm working on it. I'm going to squeeze it all the way in, and then extend it back out, and then again squeeze it back in. So I'm pinning down, again, I'm right on top of a pretty tight area on the muscle, and this is called a pin and extend technique. So I'm holding that muscle down, relaxing as much weight as I can on it, and then moving and then bending and extending my knee to work deeper into that muscle. All right, now I'm gonna move to my inner knee, or my VMO, to the inner thigh. For that, I'm going to come up at kind of a 45-degree angle with my leg, kind of like I'm straddling, not straddling, I guess kind of doing like a frog leg. So I'm going to put the bone roller down, turn it about 45 degrees, and I'm going to move from the inside of my thigh to the inside of the knee. And I want to bend my right leg, so I'm kind of doing a frog leg. And I'm just resting on just above the knee to the inside. I want to try and keep my body relaxed here. If you're tensing up through your shoulders, you're squeezing or clenching your face or your jaw, it's going to make it harder for the muscles to release. And I can also use this isn't called a pin and extend technique, but what I am going to do here is I'm going to bend the knee and I'm going to roll over. So I'm kind of rolling side to side on that muscle. Alright. And then one other thing I like to do here is put this up on a block. So I'm going to put it up a setting, and then I can really work deep into right up into my groin, kind of where it attaches to my hip. So I'm going to go on top of it like this now, and I'm going to turn the block so I can kind of roll a little bit like this. So the block is vertical, the roller is horizontal on top of the block. Get this right up on my inner thigh. And just kind of relax into that as much as possible. Again, right on the inner groin. And then kind of rolling back and forth on top of that. It helps to get it on top of a block because you can't really get it without elevating the mobility tool. And then once you find that, maybe you turn it up a setting. Oh yeah. All right. Now we're really working that muscle tissue on level 3. You can also do this with a normal foam roller. It's just going to be, again, not as intense, which you might not need. If you're really tight and you haven't done foam rolling often, then you might not need that. most of my thigh. I'm gonna switch to the other side. Any questions so far? Guys, if you have questions, feel free to, this is a live broadcast, so I will see your responses. Edward's gonna read them out to me. He's behind the camera. And so if you have questions, feel free to leave them and I'll get to them. All right, so other side, again, we're gonna start with the top of the thigh. So just above the knee, going to the hip crease. And this is kind of getting the inside of the lateral quad head. And here I can also use the pin and extend technique. So if I find an area that's really angry and doesn't want me to foam roll it, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to foam roll that area. So if I find that tight area, I'm going to relax onto it. I'm going to bend my heel in toward my butt. And then extend back out. Try a different spot. Extend back out. And yes, foam rolling can be uncomfortable. It's like a massage, it's like a workout. Yeah, it could be uncomfortable, but that's the stress on your body that you need to get stronger. Tight, angry muscles don't like being stretched, but that's exactly what they need. All right, now turning toward the outside. So you'll see it from the other side this time, but I'm not going to turn all the way to the outside. I'm turning outside and facing somewhat down. And I want to release onto my forearms so I can put more weight into my hips. And I'm going to go from just above the knee here, all the way to the top of the hip. And again, if I find a spot here that's kind of angry, that's where I'm going to bend the knee. And this works with a normal foam roller as well. Again, it's just, I've used a lot of foam rollers, and this one is just incredible. So you can do this with a normal roller. It's just more useful with the vibrating one. All right, so I got the outer thigh. And now I'm going to go inner thigh. So again, I'm going to bring the roller out at about 45 degrees. Turn it out 45 degrees. I'm going to straddle my leg on top of the roller. So I'm going to get the inner thigh just above the knee and then all the way up to the groin. And then on the other side, you might not have seen this on the other side, but what I can do here for the VMO, which is that muscle right above your knee to the inside of the knee, and that connects to that works with your MCL. I can roll over the top of the thigh so my kneecap faces down and then roll back. And that's going to help me work out those muscle fibers. Just release that tightness. If I do find a trigger point, it might help release the trigger point. Foam rolling isn't so great at trigger points. For that, you more so want a lacrosse ball. But the vibrator does a really good job of helping. All right, then I'm going to go up to the groin again. So I'm going to go pretty much right inside my groin. Okay, so just right where it attaches to my spine, my hips. I'm going to turn it again. I'm going to go 45 degrees with the block so I can roll the foam roller like so along the top of it. And then I'm going to find that spot. Again, right in the inner groin, right where it attaches. I'm going to sink all my weight onto it. Now, right now, even without the vibrator on, this is this is doing a pretty good job of working my adductors, or kind of releasing that tension in the adductors. I can feel it. So I'm going to find that spot, sink right into it, and then I'm going to go on. Every exhale, relax a little bit more into it. I can move kind of back and forth an inch or two. I'm going slowly. I'm not going, I'm not going really quickly. I'm just going slowly. And this is really helping. This one in particular is going to help with recovery for the hips and releasing muscle knots where muscle knots tend to happen, but also this muscle in particular helps with the knees a lot. So this helps to reduce tension on the knees and on your back. So this connects your adductors, connect to your spine. When those muscles get tight, they pull on the spine, they cause lower back pain. So this helps with your knees, this also helps with your back. You do have a nerve here, so you want to make sure that you don't roll too far forward. Typically with a roller, you're not going to hit a nerve. It's usually with a little crossball or something smaller that you need to be concerned, but you should know. All right, then we're gonna take that off. We're gonna do one more. So this one, you're gonna sit on it now. So go ahead, the first part, we're gonna go right leg. You're just gonna roll up and down your butt, pretty much from the back, from the bottom of your butt to the back, all the way to the lower back. And that's number one. And then we're gonna cross that right leg over, externally rotate your hip. And then you're gonna kind of roll to the outside a little bit. So now we're getting your glute med. This is the outside of your hip. All right, and then one more. You're gonna go all the way to the outside, and we're gonna get TFL a little bit here. So you're gonna roll to face directly to the outside and slightly down. And then we're just gonna roll right on that outside of the hip, kind of where the leg attaches to your hip. And right here we're aiming for the TFL, which is muscle that connects your IT band to your hip. It's about right here on your hip. It's the front outside of your hip. And that muscle helps your glutes. It also stabilizes your hips when walking, so it tends to get tight. All right, then we're going to switch sides. Again, sitting on the roller and starting off with glute max. Going from the bottom of your butt all the way to the lower back. And you might notice that we didn't do hamstrings. The reason I don't do hamstrings with the foam roller is because I've just never noticed it to be very helpful. You might experience something different, but for me, whenever I roll my hamstrings, I just don't feel anything. I don't feel like much is happening. So if I want to do my hamstrings, I'll usually use the lacrosse ball, and I'll do what's called a hamstring flossing, which is where I sit on the lacrosse ball and I basically just bend and extend my leg like that. And I usually use a chair for that. All right, so now we're crossing the leg, getting glute med. That's opening up the hip, exposing your glute med. So now we can roll on the outside of the hip. And then going down all the way onto the outer hip, turning your hip slightly down so we can target the TFL. If you want, you can just relax directly onto it and just move slowly up and down on it. It's harder to target with a foam roller. For TFL, I would usually use the Hyper Ice, which is the brand that makes this. They also make a ball, which is about the size of a softball, maybe a little bit bigger, and that's better for targeting, but foam rollers seems to be working pretty well here. All right, I found the spot. So it took a while, but I found the spot, and then I'm just gonna hang out on that for about 30 seconds. All right, and I'm gonna turn that off. And that's it. So now, what's really cool about this is in just 10 minutes, everything feels totally different. So I was actually having a bit of knee pain before, especially in full flexion. And now I don't feel any pain in my knee at all with full flexion. I'm gonna be able to squat, good, no clicking in my knee. Seriously, my knee was clicking before and now it's not. Just because of that brief few minutes of work with the vibrating foam roller. My legs feel much looser, my legs feel active, no clicking in the hip. That sometimes happens as well. So it's just a really, I mean, again, using the vibrating foam roller, it might sound like I'm trying to sell you guys on the roller. This is just something that I use. It's an incredible tool. It makes me feel 100% better when I finish. And compared to a traditional foam roller, it just doesn't work as well. So you can do this exact routine that I just did with a normal foam roller. I would make sure that you're not using a foam roller that is just consistent across the top, so it shouldn't be a smooth finish. You want one that has like bumps and design in it. That way it's going to help with actually releasing muscle tension a little bit better, because it's going to help dig into the muscle knots a bit more. But yeah, so this routine is again something I would recommend doing either before a yoga stretching focus routine. You can do it on its own at night to help wind down and relieve stress. But I wouldn't do it before an intense workout. So I wouldn't do this and then go sprint, for example, or I wouldn't do this and then go do box jumps. If I'm doing slower moving workouts, that's what I would use it for. Or if I'm using it for yoga or stretching, that's what I would use it for. All right, so let's answer some questions, because I know there might be there's at least one.
One question?
Yeah.
Two questions. Where do you get the rollers?
Okay, so the rollers is that the Facebook one?
Mm-hmm.
If you're on Facebook, the roller descriptions are in that video description. So they're on, if you go to my website, manfulyoga.com/viper, that will direct. They also have a website, hyperice.com, and the benefit of ordering there, you get free shipping. So, but if you have Amazon, then you get free shipping anyways. So. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm not entirely sure. I think they ship international, but I'm not entirely sure. Other questions?
Yep. Dean, there's a muscle that goes from just to the side of my abs down into my groin. My therapist pushes down on it with his or her palm while I bend my knee down. How can I do this on my own?
So that's your hip flexor. I think that's your hip flexor based on what you're describing, which connects kind of from here down to the groin. So he or she probably goes like that and pushes in, and then as you extend, you go like that. You don't want to use a lacrosse ball on that, because it's really close to a nerve, and if you roll over it, that's not good. So what I recommend for that is actually just doing a stretch. There are some things that tools can't really replicate. You could, and this is actually one other thing that I'll do, is I'll use, instead of a lacrosse ball, I'll use a knot out, and actually I have this over here. Everyone's gonna grab it, but I use a knot out with a larger base. So these balls on the knot out are about as big as a softball. Now with the lacrosse ball, I'm a little bit concerned that I might hit that nerve. But with the lacrosse ball, I'm a little concerned I might hit that nerve. But with these ones, these are a lot bigger, they're larger, and so I'm not as concerned about nerve damage with this one. So what I would do for you is I would go right on top of it like this, right? You're just gonna lay on top of it right there, and then you can bend and extend your leg. So I'm gonna go right on top of it. I'm gonna find that spot kind of just inside, right around my waist. Release onto it, and then bend. So that's gonna help target your psoas. And that's what you're doing there. You can also do I would also do a lizard reach back for that. So for that, you're gonna bring your heel, you're gonna do a lizard, you're gonna reach your heel toward your butt, and then grab the leg like so. And that's gonna help stretch that muscle very, very nicely. Other questions? Cool. All right, guys, so that's it. That's my exact foam rolling routine. Again, that's called the Viper 2.0, made by Hyperice. You can learn more at manfulyoga.com/Viper. And then if you need another, if you don't want to shell out the cash for a vibrating foam roller, just make sure that you're getting a roller with texture. I recommend the Rumble roller just because it's the most aggressive foam roller that I found, and it's the most effective if you're not going to get a vibrating one. And yeah, that's it. So join me next Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time, we'll do a live workout. Last week we did we do the scapular stability last week? I can't remember. Last week we did something else. Usually a lot of these workouts are focused on office workers, just because that's who I tend to work with. You know, I'm not working with people who are, we do have a lot of, I take that back, we also do have a lot of people who have manual jobs, manual labor jobs. So, but most people tend to have the same problems. They have tight hips, they have rounded shoulders, they have poor posture. So that's what these workouts help you out with. So again, join me back here at 12 p.m. on Wednesdays. And if you want to take my free 7-day intro, learn how yoga can improve your fitness in just a few days, go to manfulyoga.com/intro. It's totally free, and that will start the 7-day intro. We cover stuff like posture, core strength, balance. We cover hip mobility and hip strength. We cover your butt, how to strengthen your glutes, and lots of good stuff in there. So all free, manfulyoga.com/intro. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow me in all 3 of those places. We actually put out different unique content on each of those channels. So if you're on each of those, make sure you subscribe and use all of them. Otherwise you might miss out on something. And that's it. So guys, thanks for joining me today. I hope you got something out of that. If you're watching this now and can't do it right now, go ahead and try it later. Leave a comment when you do and let me know what you thought. And that's it. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for joining.